Hi, I'm Jim Evans. Welcome to Loose Change. As always, please allow faster viewers to play through. We know you will. Thanks for joining us. We have a great show, very special guest who will join us in just a few moments. But first, as we do off the top, we talk a lot because they've been in the news about the Southern Park Mall. And the owner of the Southern Park Mall owns a lot of other malls around the country. If you follow this, you know. And I heard that he recently came out and said that he wants nothing to do with Texas. Nothing to do with Texas. What's that? Oh, that's taxes. Oh, okay. Yeah. How did I miss that? Not long ago, there was, unfortunately, a big brawl at a local restaurant at a wedding reception. A lot of police were called up, but fortunately, nobody was hurt or seriously hurt, so that was good. And as a result of this, the restaurant has added a new menu item. Now you can get a knuckle sandwich. Watch out for the extra cheese. How's your summer gone? Greg, how's your go? I guess we're past that now. It's in the rearview mirror, but mine was okay. And, you know, I've always thought over the summer about maybe one day, and I don't know why I've been intrigued by this, going to the running of the bulls of Pamplona, Spain. Well, that wasn't going to happen. But I was in West Virginia, and there was an event going on near where we were that, I was able to check out and actually participate in. Check this out. Now you can see how light-footed and lightning quick on my feet I was there. Who shoots that in black and white? I don't know. Let's change to the Cleveland Browns. There's always a story there, right? And I heard that before the season, the Ohio Turnpike Commission gave each Browns player an easy pass. But the receivers dropped theirs, as always. How about the Cleveland Guardians? Unbelievable. It's just improbable what they did. They came from 15 and a half games back in the standings to win the Central Division title. Again, that's never been done in Major League Baseball history. I don't have a punchline. I just want to say congratulations, Guardians, and give them a round of applause. They had their first playoff game as of the taping of this show tonight. So go get them, Guards. Bill Belichick has been in the news a lot lately. He now coaches at North Carolina. Greg, I don't know if you saw this a couple weeks ago before a game. He was on the sideline with his girlfriend, and it looked like they were kissing. Now, Bill is 73, I believe, and she's 24. And I know most people cringe at that, but hey, they're adults. You know, they can do whatever. And it was also reported that after that game, they were spotted out in the parking lot getting all lovey-dovey in the backseat of his hover round. There's more jokes to come on that whole situation, so stay tuned. You know, I forgot something else I did this summer. I haven't done this in quite a while. I actually got some swimming in, you know, and I was wearing a new suit, and, well, here's how that went. Now I know how to do the back flip. I also grew a little mustache. All right, stick around. Joe Bell joins us next, right here on Loose Change. I'd hang around if I was you.
The Armstrong Neighborhood Channel is your home for sports, community events, and award-winning shows from all of our Armstrong neighborhoods. Catch up on events happening in your area, dive into a new hobby, or explore the fascinating places in your region on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel. Check your local listings or tune to Channel 100 to see what's happening in your backyard. Visit us on YouTube for custom playlists and a full library of your favorite neighborhood channel shows. Everything local lives on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel.
Welcome back. I'm Jim Evans. I had the great privilege to be joined by an old friend, an old colleague for myself and Greg as well from TV 27, and now the Director of Corporate Communications for the Cafaro Corporation, the one and the only Joe Bell, everyone. Joe, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thanks for the invitation, Jim.
We haven't seen you in a long time, so
yeah.
Great to have you here. And what we like to have our victims or our guests do off the top of the show. For those who don't know where you're from and and how your career path took the shape it did.
Sure. I mean, of course, we both used to work at a TV station in town.
Yep.
And we were longtime TV guys.
Yep.
And I took a career change about 2008 and went into corporate communications, went to work for the Cafaro Company, and been there ever since. And it's been an interesting transition.
Yeah, for sure. Now, weren't you were in Detroit in TV before coming here?
I was in a lot of places,
Yeah.
actually. I got out of college and became a video gypsy. And I worked in a bunch of towns, in no particular order: Erie, Pennsylvania; Nashville, Tennessee; Detroit; Youngstown. You know, and in Pittsburgh for a while.
Yeah.
And you know, it was interesting. And just about the time I got to a certain point, I got out of the business for about a year because I had some family situations that were going on and everything like that. And I said, it's time to leave TV. About after a year, I said, I don't have it out of my system yet. And I came back to work in the Youngstown area.
I remember that. What were maybe the things that you still think about and reach back and say, that was really good about your TV career?
You know, I enjoyed a lot of things, and there were a lot of stories
Sure.
people could tell. You know, it's when we get together, us old TV folks, we talk about things all the time.
It's never ending.
Never ending. But you know, we talk about things like old mob stories.
Yep.
Or we'll talk about our erstwhile Congressman Jim Traffickin and that long saga. And you know, I spent 10 weeks in Cleveland following his trial till he got convicted, and then we all went and followed him to Washington where he got expelled, and that was pretty earth-shattering at the time. And you know, we covered a lot of crime, a lot of strange stuff that happened, crazy politics.
Yep.
You know, those are all very memorable things. Yeah.
What did you enjoy most about it?
You know, I think, and you can correct me on this if I'm wrong. Okay.
I doubt that.
One of the things about television news is you get daily gratification. I mean, you go out, you do your story, you put together a newscast, you put together a sportscast, you get it on the air.
That's right.
There's the thrill. It's every day.
Yeah.
And you get to do that. Now, in the business world, things don't work quite the same way. You may wait weeks or months before that big payoff comes emotionally whenever some big deal happens that you really like.
Thinking back, how did you compare, doing TV in Youngstown to Detroit and, bigger markets?
Youngstown's a smaller market, but it has all the elements that you find in larger markets. The only thing that's different in larger markets is you have more resources to throw at it because, they may have bigger staffs, bigger money, more travel, that type of thing. But in Youngstown, there were all kinds of interesting things, interesting people that were making news all the time. And that's something you kind of miss on a good day.
Was the concept and the just the directive the same in a larger market as it was here? This is what we got to do. From the managerial standpoint and how we had to cover things.
Yeah, I mean, there were some similarities. Now, every newsroom's just a little different.
Right.
It depends on the management and what they like to stress, because sometimes, believe me, I worked for some crazy managers who had some nutty ideas and their own particular personal quirks, and I would never want to work for them again. But they would stress certain types of stories or how to do it. And I remember one time, this is in Detroit, we got a word that some guy was being chased by the Detroit police through a neighborhood, and he was shooting randomly at people and things like that. We got a fix on where it was, and I was in a live truck with a crew. At that time, you had a two-man crew.
You're right. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, and we rolled up onto a highway overpass, and we said, "Okay, this is where we heard him last." Jumped out of the truck, and maybe 20 yards away, all of a sudden I see the lid of a dumpster flip open, and the guy is shooting out in random directions. And at this point, I'm getting a call over the radio from the assignment desk. "Listen, our boss wants us to get you on the air as soon as possible. Can you be ready to go in 30 seconds? I said, "No, I can't do that. I'm trying not to get my butt shot here.
Yeah,
okay?
really. Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Self-preservation, number one.
you know, so you had crazy pressures like that in some places.
Sure.
You know?
We had that occasionally here, but not quite to that extent.
Not quite to that
extent.
no.
But, you know, one of the things that my thing about my experience there was all the great people we got a chance to meet and become friends with, you know, not only at the station, but, you know, out covering what we did.
Yeah.
And that was a really valuable thing for me. I don't know about you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, imagine, I mean, think about it. Think of all the sports heroes out there. Some of those, imagine the people in sports you got to meet.
Yep.
And the people I got to meet in the news area and, you know, in public life, you know, things that you wouldn't normally see and a lot of people wouldn't normally see. So it's, you know, there's an old expression, there's a little bit of Walter Mitty in the news business, because, you know, there's an old story, an old book, a short story about a guy named Walter Mitty who used to live vicariously. He imagined himself in all these crazy situations, but he lived a rather ordinary life. We got to live a slightly extraordinary life.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's the thing I tell people about, you know, doing the sports in terms of this market here is so unique in that we're dead center between two major league markets.
Yeah.
And we're out there covering both, and that's pretty rare. There's not too many places in the country where we have a scenario like that.
Yeah, I mean, think about that. Oh my goodness, all the teams that you had to cover, and yeah.
And not to mention our local, you know.
Let's not slight the local
Mix
sports.
and, you know, YSU and everything, but
And don't forget Friday Night Football.
you know, I still, and I'll tell the story real quick. I was covering a Pirates game,
Yeah.
and we'd go down to Three Rivers at the time and get interviews before batting practice. And Barry Bonds, and I was all done with who I was talking to at the time, and I'm sitting in the dugout, and Barry Bonds comes out from right field and sits down, just me and him, and I looked over and he goes, "Hey, how you doing?" And so you want to do some TV time? He goes, "Sure." Slides down next to me. We talked good, solid 5 minutes at least.
Oh, that's a good interview.
Just as,
I
mean, you would never, because he was starting to get that reputation of being
Little,
standoffish to the media,
yeah.
which is terrific. And that was right before the All-Star game that year. And then after that, his career really took off. And then he kind of took a step back even further. But he was great, and I'll never forget that, because here's this guy now. I mean, probably should he would have been in the Hall of Fame anyway, despite the the
stuff,
issues. But that was really a fond memory for me. But for you, you know, what were the challenges? You were great, you know, as our ace reporter.
Thank you. That's nice of you.
You really were. Wasn't he great? I mean, you know.
Yes.
It was okay. Yeah. Try not to scare the children. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. What was the biggest challenge for you, though, if you can draw that up?
The challenge is always time. I think it is. I really think it is, because you always want to do so much more. And
yeah, that's great.
Especially,
point.
and especially whenever there's a complicated story. Like if you're investigating something, it takes a lot of time. And a small staff news operation, you don't always have that luxury. I mean, because they need you to cover the news on a daily basis, and they can't free you up to do a 6-month investigation or something.
Right.
So that's probably the biggest challenge you face.
Did you always want to become a TV news reporter once you got your feet into the business? Was that what you had in mind?
That's what I had in mind. I really did. I mean, and maybe this is something that was in the back of my head from childhood, because my grandfather on my mother's side, he was a photographer, a newspaper photographer for one of the Pittsburgh papers that doesn't exist anymore. And I had a great uncle who was a TV news photographer.
Really?
For KDKA in Pittsburgh.
Oh, wow.
And and I always thought that's pretty cool what they do. And I just thought about that. And by the time I reached college, I said, yeah, this is what I want to do.
And you did it. I always thought if you stepped out of the reporter arena, that you would have been a great news director. Did you ever have those aspirations?
Wow, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah. I remember there was a guy we used to work with, and he was a photographer. Nice guy, but someone had asked him, and I got this third hand. He said, "Oh, Joe Bell, I know him. He should run the place." And I thought, I never thought about running the place.
You could have, but we worked with a lot of great people. You know,
yeah, we did.
That was a great experience to be there, and even those that were only there for a short time, that we had a chance before they moved on, you know. And again, I really value that for sure. That work is, I'm sure, helped you make the transition into what you're doing now.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. About 6 months after I went to work for Cafaro Company, my immediate boss, she asked me, so Joe, is this very much different than what you did? And I said to her, you know what? In a lot of ways, it's similar because I'm still chasing information.
Right.
And that's a good portion of my job, chasing information and putting it into understandable form for our various audiences out there. And in this case, we have audiences in the trade media, the general public, people who watch shopping centers, that type of thing. So yeah, it's still a chasing information kind of game.
For sure. We're going to take a break. You hang around, right?
Absolutely.
All right, Joe Bell, we'll be right back with more. Stick around.
Cool.
Welcome back. I'm Jim Evans again, along with former TV 27 Ace reporter Joe Bell. I'm glad you got the memo on the black jacket.
Thank you. We like to keep, you know,
Coordinated.
keep things coordinated.
Great time, though. I didn't
Thank
go
you.
that way. But now with the the Cafaro Corporation, and again, you said 2008 was you went over there. What were the challenges for you, stepping off and getting into something similar, but a lot different?
I had to learn the lay of the land because I didn't know anything about the shopping center business, other than the fact that, you go in there and you buy stuff, So so I had to learn a lot of the important kind of touchstones of that business. I had to learn about what's important to retailers, how does the business operate, what's important to. And a lot of people still don't understand this in the general public. That what our company does essentially is we're a landlord. We lease space. Yeah. We lease space to stores, to other businesses, and so that they can do business. And we do this all across the country. And so I had to learn kind of the ins and outs of that part of the business, and had to get to know a lot of different marketplaces where we operate, because we have shopping centers all over the country. We've got 12 different enclosed malls from Virginia to Washington State, and plus 40 open air shopping centers, and we may be growing, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's going to go well. Sounds like. But what I guess what has been the most gratifying thing about doing what you're doing now as compared to TV?
I think I got to see another part of the business world that I never knew existed.
Right.
That was the most gratifying thing, and we got to do some interesting things, and I still get to do interesting things where I get to talk about a company that I think is a great organization. I think it does very well. The Cafaro Company is very well respected inside the real estate development industry, and I get to represent the company, and I get to speak for the company, and we do it in a lot of different fashions. Sometimes it's strictly the business talk, talking about a place that is good to operate your business, a good place for leasing everything. But sometimes we get to do some interesting things, like earlier this year at one of our shopping centers in Tennessee, just Clarksville, Tennessee, just north of Nashville. And we were renovating it, and one of the things we wanted to do, because there's a huge military base right there, we created a Medal of Honor wall that honored all the recipients of the Medal of Honor from the 101st Airborne Division. And so we got to dedicate that, and it was fascinating because we had to coordinate with the military on this thing, and we unveiled this in the springtime, and that was a lot of fun getting that together.
Sure.
And just recently we took the most recent Medal of Honor recipient, and we introduced him down at the place, a fellow by the name of Ken David. He's from Girard, and he won the Medal of Honor for his exploits in Vietnam. And he came out of that unit, and he went down to visit Clarksville, and he visited our mall and got a chance to see his face there along with all those other heroes. So that was pretty cool.
So needless to say, community engagement is huge.
It is, because that's one of the things. People go to shopping malls, and it's become sort of like the marketplace of ancient times. And I mean,
Yeah,
one of
no,
our
it is, yeah.
one of our retired president Tony Cafaro used to say all the time, there in civilization there's always been a marketplace where people come not just to buy goods, but
right.
to see their neighbors, maybe to get a bite to eat, to gossip, to have a good time. And so that's sort of been the philosophy of his family, is to provide that marketplace. And so that's part of my job, is to make sure that we create that kind of atmosphere.
It seems, and I talk with people about the situation with the malls here in the area, and why is one doing well and maybe the other one not so much? And the first thing that comes to my mind is local ownership.
That's a big deal. It's a very big deal. Yeah, local ownership means an awful lot, and we're still a family-owned company, and the Cafaro family takes very great pride in saying, yeah, we're in this for the long haul. We don't just flip properties. We like to be in the place, make it better, bring great offerings to the market, and so that's part of that's the secret sauce, is to make a shopping center work.
It's, I'm amazed every time I go up there in recent years here, and how it's grown, and it's really become a destination. There's, over 200, there's 200 stores and
Roughly,
restaurants.
And stores and restaurants, and we got a ball field, and we got
hotel,
for 3 hotels, a shopping, an indoor trampoline park, more than 40 restaurants. And it's getting bigger, because we're going to have some other things very soon. We're going to be able to announce that are a little different, and so stay tuned, folks. We're going to have a few things to talk about.
And everything you're talking about, though, is condensed in one area right there,
Yes.
which is like a town center, basically. And
It is, yeah.
that has to help. Certainly, you go to a restaurant, you go to the mall, or vice versa, and other things.
Oh yeah,
or bar,
yeah.
or
I mean,
whatever.
you can do all the things in your life there. There's, the introduction of the Myers store, Myers Supercenter, that has tons of things. People, it is never not busy. People are always doing grocery shopping there.
Yep.
All kind of places people like to go for entertainment.
Yep.
Dave & Buster's opened last year, and it was a phenomenon that people go there to get entertained all the time. And the Eastwood Event Center, that is really becoming more and more popular as a venue for business occasions and weddings and things like that. And that's becoming more busy every day.
And certainly having the baseball team up there in the stadium doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt. I mean, there are not very many shopping malls in America that can say, oh, we have our own minor league baseball stadium. Yeah.
But they always have promotions going on up there. It's it's family friendly, and
it is.
and it's cool partnership. Or maybe not necessarily a partnership, but this relationship.
Yeah, it's a business relationship we have with the Mahoning Valley Scrappers, and they're great to work with, and they do all kinds of other kind of programming there at the field, and whether it's a buddy walk for folks with autism or for Down syndrome, or whether they're just doing a trick-or-treat night out. But they do, of course, the ball games, and it's really a very affordable way to entertain your family. You go to the ball game up there.
What I just saw, I thought was really neat. You have a library there now.
Yes.
I thought that was really cool that happened.
Yeah, the Warren Trumbull County Public Library just 2 weekends ago opened its doors. It is located inside the mall. It's a branch of the library, and because they had another branch in another part of the county that wasn't getting much traction, but they looked around and said, you got a lot of people walking through this shopping mall here. We're going to put one right here, and it's right next to the children's play area, and so they get a lot of business there.
I can only imagine, but I thought that was great when I read that. And there's a lot of events though going on. It's not just about coming there to shop and spend money and everything, although that's the big
well,
thing.
yeah.
But you have a lot of events, community events that are always going on. Some coming up right as we get into October.
Absolutely. I mean, well, don't forget November Rain. That comes up in early November, and that's basically a family event inside the mall, family fun kind of stuff there. Then it moves out as the sun starts setting, and we have a concert going on. Local band will be playing. There's a beer tent, and then it all culminates with a fireworks show at 9 o'clock. scored to music. So it's become a big attraction over the years, and they're gearing up for it again.
Where will they have the fireworks at? Just out in the park?
The fireworks are fired from the areas near Eastwood Field, but
okay.
anywhere on the complex you can see these fireworks.
Yes,
It's
right.
just really a good show, and you can tune in your car radio or whatever and listen to the soundtrack that goes with it.
Neat things coming up in regards to Halloween. I read as well. You have on your website.
We have lots of Halloween events. Our marketing team there does a great job. They put together things like Boo Bingo.
Yeah, I saw that.
they put, and believe it or not, there are a lot of folks in the community like to play bingo, and so they'll set up in center court, and they're going to do this themed bingo game, and hey, I'm sure they'll get a crowd of 100 people easily. And
minimum around here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
But they do things like that, and they do things for kids, and they do have things they call Toddler Tuesdays, where they do programming for small kids and their parents, and so that's very popular with that particular crowd.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just listening to you talk, and I hear your voice. You do commercials, for them as well. We hear the voiceovers, and so you still have your hands a little bit of broadcasting.
A little bit of broadcasting, yeah. It's funny because right next to my office, we actually have a sound studio where we do the recording for those TV and radio spots and other kinds of. We have a really pretty robust video production in house, and so it's good to be able to do that there. And
Absolutely.
One of my bosses once joked as he was taking someone through. Was one of the top guys. He's giving him a tour, and he says, "This is Joe Bell. I want to put the sound studio next to his office because he loves the sound of his own voice."
For sure. Well, we're almost out of time, but we hear so much, and it's the real of it. Online shopping. Now we hear brick and mortar might be on its way up, but I'd say there's an example where I don't think that's the case. What you guys are doing for sure.
I've been hearing that line for 15 years,
yes.
And it's like no, it keeps getting bigger. Especially some of the younger generations. They're getting into it as a social event again, and so that's something I think will endure.
Absolutely. Well, Joe, I can't thank you enough for your time. It is great to see you, and keep up the great work. And maybe we'll see you up at the Eastwood Mall sometime.
Thank you, Jim. Hey, nice to see you guys again. And
sure.
Don't be a stranger.
We won't.
Okay.
Good luck with everything. All right, we'll be back to wrap it up right after we do this. Well, that's going to do it for our show. Thanks so much to Joe Bell for his time and coming in and joining us. It was great to see him. Good luck, Joe, with everything at the Eastwood Mall. Thanks to all of you, and of course to Greg Roten, as always, for taking care of all the business here behind the scenes. I'm Jim Evans, and we'll catch you next time, won't we, Greg? Yeah, he says yeah. We'll catch you next time right here. Good work.